Let me just grab a few of these. Where have you come from today?
Spain, actually.
Oh, bit of a journey.
A little bit. No, it's I did grow up here a little bit, but it's my great uncle's 90th birthday on tomorrow. So I actually wanted to come about a month ago because I played Open qualifier at Moore Park, and there was no availability to come after, so I was like, oh, I'll have to come again.
And then knew you were coming back, and you're like, actually, you know what? It's not.
No, it worked out well in the end.
How was Open qualifying?
It was okay. I've just completed my 3rd year this year of the PGA, so I really haven't been playing at all. So I'm just starting out again.
Yeah.
And these clubs are like from my freshman year in college, at university, which is like 7-8 years old. I did have a change. I was playing with some P760s.
Okay.
But because I wasn't playing as much, I felt these were just a little bit more forgiving, so I just put them back in the bag. And
cool.
Shaft's the same. It's just Dynamic Gold X100.
Okay. Were either of these fitted at, these or the 760s?
These were fitted, but I don't think it was a very reliable fitting.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, and a lot has definitely changed since then, so I thought I might as well do it properly.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm going to start playing a little bit more again. So.
Cool. Right.
Yeah.
You feeling relatively warm? I know you just did a few looseners.
Yeah.
Feeling relatively good to go?
Fine, yeah.
So we'll go up to 6, but by all means, if you want to go up from 9 to like a 7 or something, just hit a few more, or we can just fire straight into 6, entirely up to you.
I'll just hit a few.
What have you got there, 7?
7, yeah.
Just come onto the back mat, you're fine at that point. I would say these are heavy-ish D5 swing weight in 6 iron. I know they're ½ inch longer, but they're on the. Yeah.
That was also one thing that I originally can't remember is why, because I'm obviously not very tall. Like
why you went ½ inch longer?
Why I went ½ inch longer. Now, every time I look at them, they look upright, so the toes hang off the ground. So that's kind of.
I was going to say these are more like my spec.
Yeah.
I'll check what the line is.
But then again, I've now kind of got used to it a little bit because I tend to grip up on the club, even with these. My end of my hand is.
You're right on the very top.
I think it's maybe a bit of a distance thing as well in my mind. Just feel like I'm going to hit it like maybe 5 meters longer.
Okay. And do you operate in meters or yards?
Yeah, meters.
That's right. I'll switch that over. That's fine.
I think again because as a professional in Spain as well, I'm sure it's the same here. We get some, like deals with brands, and I was just about to just order a set. Just
blind order a set.
I was just going to go exactly the same specs, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just do it properly, and not waste any time. Not waste it. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Is there anything swing-wise you're working on at the moment? Anything in terms of shot shape? Is there anything you'd like to see?
Yeah. So I've sort of my big miss has always been like a bit of a block.
Okay.
So now I'm consciously trying to hit a draw.
Okay. All right. Cool. Perfect. Does that look about right as a distance? 160 meters, 7.9.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's give you 6. Let's get some baseline with yours, and then we'll start finding some.
Perfect.
Some other options. Is there anything, I guess, coming into this? Is there anything you've seen you like the thought of? Is there anything you're interested in, or are you complete blank canvas? And if it works, it works.
In terms of brands,
in terms of brands, yeah.
Probably either Srixon or Titleist.
Okay.
either or.
Okay, cool.
Maybe TaylorMade, but to be honest,
After those 760s, maybe you just lost the...
maybe I lost the... I do feel like as I move up in the bag, like I'm sure practice has an influence on it, but I don't feel as consistent with my, especially strike-wise, as I move up the bag.
Okay. So you'd call that your kind of desired stock shot?
Yeah, at the moment, definitely, yeah.
Okay, well, perfect. Always nice when you suggest that's the shot and then actually hit the shot.
It does help, yeah. That's just left.
And would you, I guess that's a preferred miss, the overdraw?
Now it is, yeah, definitely. I just
anything
don't want to
left
see it
is
go
fine,
right.
it's right as the dead, okay.
Yeah. Because it's not like it hasn't been like a leaky just a little bit. It like starts right
And then carries
just,
on.
Like, it's awful.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers here initially, they are a little on the high spin side.
Yeah.
Which is going to be costing you a few meters of distance. We're not talking it's going to give you another 15, but at 6,000, it's...
When I play with the lads, like
6,000 is a high number.
we're usually similar driver-wise, but I feel like my irons, I do hit it quite short, like at least a club shorter.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can hopefully bring that
Down
distance a little closer to where you're hoping to see it. I've got a couple of ideas as to where to start. I'm going to grab the ZX7 as a starting point.
Yep.
And then just a couple of shafts. I'll grab the X1 and then I'll grab a couple of other options that I think might just fit a little better.
Yep.
Make sure we find something that we like from a shaft point of view, and then we'll just check the heads to make sure that whatever head we select is actually the best setup.
Perfect, thank you. That's the right one.
Okay, and then that's the big miss that you don't want to see. Okay.
That's just, yeah.
Right, start us out. I've gone X1, but that is at standard length rather than the longer. Two reasons for that. One, it will help us control the swing weight a little bit so it doesn't get quite so bottom end heavy. And two, in theory, especially into the longer irons, it will help the strike. So let's just see what you think of that.
Is that standard lie as well?
They'll all be standard lie.
Yeah.
Yours are
They must be upright.
yours are one. About 6 irons, one up of
One up,
standard.
yeah.
Which then obviously combine that with half inch longer. Now you're talking 2. It
Yeah.
starts to get a little upright. So I would say, based on what you want to see and what you don't like to see,
Yeah.
I would say something of the weight of X100 is probably not the best place to be.
Okay.
Being quite so heavy, it's going to have that opportunity to get a little bit kind of laid off, and in transition you're going to get it too laid off behind you, it then gets stuck, and then you've got to try and
Release, yeah.
fetch it.
Yeah.
And if it's 125 grams, that's relatively easy for your speed. That'll be easier for you to fetch and clear. But at 130, 132, then you're starting to ask a lot of yourself to get it. And all right, if you're playing 6 days a week,
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
playing not that much, it's going to be, you'll have days where if the timing's not quite spot on, you'll have days where it's just both ways.
Both ways, yeah.
And it's just, that's the one thing for me, kind of watching you hit these first few shots that initially I'm worried about is just, is that too heavy?
Yeah.
Let's see a couple more with it.
Could be as well. I don't know if I'm either as fast as I was
Yeah,
before,
exactly.
like a few
Yeah, there
years
could
ago,
be just
like
general body change and swing change. Better move.
that was a bit left.
Yeah, it looks like you really have to commit to it to get it to.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to grab something a little lighter. Let me just switch that over. Yeah, it just looks like it's getting stuck and lost behind you. Let me just switch this down into something 10 grams lighter than where you are there.
Perfect.
Modus 120X rather than the Dynamic Gold X100. That's the D3 rather than at D4 or D5, which is where you are. We always sort of feel a little more kind of complete as a club rather than
Perfect.
a lead weight on the end of a stick.
Went left, but it feels much. Oh, it didn't go left.
So that looked, timing-wise to body, that looked like that was all together. That didn't
Yeah.
look like that was two parts of a.
That felt
Of a
really
swing.
good, actually.
See if you can repeat it a couple of times, shall we?
What was the distance on that?
170.8 in the air. But that is at 2.5 mile an hour slower than you were as you put yours down, as you were kind of going after yours.
Yeah.
That
Spin
looked,
also went down as well.
yeah, that just looked like a very smooth swing. That looked like a, hey, I could play with this and not have to have to worry.
That's kind of what we need.
Yeah.
That was a bit more.
That's nice.
That felt like it was going a lot more left than it
Okay.
actually did. Yeah, which is good.
Sort of that felt like it was going to be the left.
Yeah.
The left from a swing
little,
point of
yeah.
view, that felt like it was the left one. Okay.
Mhm.
It's nice to see that that then hasn't drifted.
Too much. Yeah.
I mean, that's finished 4.5 yards offline.
Perfect.
Yeah, from a weight profile, that's way better. Okay, let me get rid of these three. Let me grab three that are then a better match.
Perfect.
And even that one that leaks, it's not then the big leak. It's
Yeah.
it just holds
I
its
tried
line.
to exaggerate one, trying to start it right a little bit more, and
Just see what happened with it.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it doesn't feel too different. The standard length shaft either. It's not.
All right, let's go KBS Tour V120, which is, so they do KBS Tour and then they do KBS Tour V within that family. Tour at 120 will play a little softer. Tour V's, in essence, just a slightly firmer, slightly more tip heavy, slightly firmer feeling profile of the same shaft. But let's see what you think of that. That thing comes out at D1.5. So again, I'm just trying to see if we go a little lighter.
Yep.
At what point does it start to become too headlight that you really struggle to find the timing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked pretty good.
Felt good as well.
That's nice.
They go too high. Felt like it went quite high.
It's on the higher side. It's not too high. It's still lower than where you are with yours.
Yeah.
But it's definitely on the higher end of where I want to see things today. Okay. That doesn't look as comfortable. As much as that first one you said it felt pretty good,
Yeah.
it doesn't look as comfortable to be with you as the Modus did. The Modus looked a little more in rhythm. That looks a little bit, it drops and then you've got to try and fetch it. You see one more, but I think that's then too headlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one goes. That one goes.
So that swing did feel a little bit similar to the Modus one, the ones that just went a little bit left.
It didn't have that second turn to it. It should be better. So that's then Dynamic Gold 120 X1.
Perfect.
So similar profile to what you're used to.
Yep.
But just at that slightly lighter base weight.
What was the swing weight on that?
D3.5. So a little heavier than where we just were, but more in line with where that Modus was.
Modus, perfect.
Okay, so that first one straight away to me, I don't like.
Yeah.
Just straight off the bat, I didn't like the way it moved at the top.
Okay.
It looked like you had to wait for the club to restart its movement before you could then turn, which kind of says it's not the right way to go. But let's just see a second one because it may just be a recalibration from that previous shaft feeling quite so headlight.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a note. Okay, so that Modus feel is kind of 121, 122 is going to be a better way to go. Anything shaft weight, anything lighter than that, you look a little bit like timing wise, you're just not quite there.
Out of those, I liked how the Modus reacted when I...
Just had a little more feedback, not so much that it felt like you could hit it straight left.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. That's then 1150X from Nippon. So this was kind of before the Modus appeared. This was their answer to what you would require. It plays a little softer than the Modus in feel. Just be interested to see what you think. Similar base weight when you get into the X. The 1150X comes out at 120, 122, 123. So similar base weight, but just slightly softer in feedback.
I didn't like that at all.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to go back to the modus, I think. Just looks like you have to get the body to fire a bit more to get it slung back out in front of you. Okay, I'm going back to the modus. Just those 2 swings there says to me, doesn't quite do the job.
I did feel like I had to manipulate that to get that.
Yeah, you had to work at it to make it do the job. No. How busy is golf out in Spain then?
Busy, yeah. I actually just stopped working, to be honest. Just finished my PGA, and now I'm doing a few things on my own, playing a bit more, doing some coaching. Summer camps now as well. We've got a lot of summer camps going on.
Summer camps are always good.
Yeah, they are.
At least you picked the right time of the year to come back over here. So
Yeah.
At least the weather's close-ish in terms of...
To be honest, so much better. It's been so hot. And when I arrived yesterday, I came out of the plane and I was like, oh, this is actually nice for a change.
Maybe Marbella isn't the answer. Yeah, it just syncs up so much better. That's why I just wanted to switch back to it, because you'd had a couple there where
that was so good.
Timing just didn't look right. I just wanted to switch back to one that we hit nice earlier and just see, right, did it?
That felt great. That really felt great.
Okay, there's one other shaft to have a look at then, seeing that.
Yep.
There's one other one for me to just quickly grab.
What was the weight on this? 120?
They are 121 when you get into the X in the 120. Which is the one really annoying. The one thing that really always catches people out with the modus is the modus 120, the stiff is 114, the X is 121. So why is it called a 120?
Yeah.
It always catches people out.
So one thing I was confused as well when I was looking at sort of the specs. I don't know if it was in the iron shaft as well, but definitely in the wedges with the dynamic gold. The stiff shaft actually weighed more than the X shaft. Why is that?
Because of where the balance is, they can get away with having the X weigh a little lighter because the material's up higher, so it feels a little firmer.
Okay.
Because like the S200 and the S400 are a little bit more kind of tip heavy. To give you a bit more feel of kick and some feedback, they have to make them just a touch heavier down the bottom there.
So this is slightly heavier?
So this is then the Modus 125S rather than X. So this comes out at 122. So they have 3 shafts. They have the 115, the 1150X, the Modus 120X, and then the 125S that all kind of cross over each other in base weight. The 1150 is a little more weight up in the handle. The 120X is a bit more through the middle. This is then a little bit more tip heavy.
Okay.
I'm just intrigued to see whether this causes you to get a little stuck behind because of the extra weight at the bottom, or does it actually help you release it?
It didn't feel too bad, but it feels you
feels
can really
different.
Feel
Yeah.
on the tip.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting once you've hit 4 or 5 to see what you think. That's the one I worry about with the extra weight.
Yeah.
You go after it a little more,
yeah.
and all of a sudden it just slingshots out in front of you, and then you're always just going to miss it left.
Yeah.
Which is where I think that 120X just being so neutral on balance, I think it just helps you just release it, and actually you can chase it and it doesn't snatch on you.
That's, even though I say,
as much as you say you don't want to see it go right, at the same
I don't
time,
wanna
that
see
one
that,
is,
that's,
yeah, that one is danger. No. It's the 120X. Okay, right. Let me grab a few heads to have a look at as well then.
Perfect.
It's nice and easy finding the first section. Let's hope it's that easy to find the other half. Grabbed us a couple of other options. 100S, standard T100, 223, and then I'm just going to throw the King Tor in there from Cobra, just something a little different in shape.
Yep.
More than anything, I'm just intrigued to see what you think of that shape.
Okay.
Because it's a little more compact heel to toe. It might just, it will either really upset the eye or actually you'll go, you know what?
It was actually nice.
Because if actually you prefer that look, there's maybe one or two others just to have a little look at as well. But we'll start out with 100S. So this being that little bit stronger in loft.
Yeah. Where I worked previously, they were a Southern European fitting centre for Titleist.
Right.
So I always had a little mess around, and did feel like the S it goes a little bit too far.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Just has a little bit too much of a knuckleball every so often and just jump. Okay. Right.
It's amazing how bladey it looks as well.
Yeah, considering how much tech there is to make it forgiving, top line, it just doesn't look it.
Yeah. It's not very good.
It's also, to the ear, it's a lot clickier.
Clickier, 100%. I noticed that.
That tungsten bar that runs across the back definitely
But
makes.
still, I felt it was going more left than that, and that was great.
It's nice as well. So that just started twisting.
Maybe a little
So I'll just give it a return every so often with some of them with the adapters. They just get a bit loose and upset. I've just had a look at your golf bag. There's a strong head cover game going on over there. Just to go a little off topic, these two are particularly brilliant. For any basketball fans out there, we've got a little bit of the throw to Kobe there with the 8 and the 24, and then this one is one I can't say I have ever seen before, but a little bit of Day of the Dead for you. It's one of those things, eh? Pros and their head covers.
not giving my secrets away, but they were AliExpress.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't like it.
Don't like it?
No, I don't.
Sound?
The sound. I don't like the sound.
Okay, that's fine.
Clicky.
That's fine. As much as performance can be good, if you don't like the sound of it, you're not going to enjoy hitting it. You're not going to hit it as well when it comes under the pressure. So it's always important to make people aware whenever you're doing, something we always say to clients when they come in is when we get to something, if we like it but you don't, tell us.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no point in us going through the whole thing and going, right, okay, that's the club, and you walk away from it going, I didn't really like it. Right, that's standard T100 now.
Perfect.
Much softer
Yeah,
sound. Much softer in sound.
I think that was the best one I've hit all day.
Yeah. When you've toyed around with the stuff when you've been out in Spain, has it been T100 that you've kind of gone towards? Of the tightest stuff you've gone towards?
I did try the MBs.
They were a one-time try, and and you realised, well, maybe not.
I don't know if the Open Tiger Christensen who's playing. He actually is one of the students of Jason Floyd.
Yeah.
And he plays the MB in a Project 7.0 shot. And it's like,
yeah, you've got to be a bit of a brute to make those things sing.
Beast.
I keep toying with the idea of changing to the 7.0s, and it's like, actually, you know what? Even I don't hit it hard enough to make those things fire.
Yeah, that was great.
That's very nice. Very nice. And it's that thing of as well is we can always make those T100s a little stronger to get them to play distance-wise, to get them to play a little more like the S. Because obviously they are sort of 4 or 5 meters back from maybe where you'd want to see it, based on the conversation we had there at the start with you feeling like yours are just that bit short. But with a little bit of a strengthening loft, you can find that extra 5 meters that we're looking for if we got it back in that T100S loft rather than at what it is now.
To be completely honest, like, I know it's sort of in an indoor setting, it's not the same, but 171, that's plenty for me for a 6 iron.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like usually if I'm like 165 meters, I'll hit 6.
Gotcha.
6, yeah. I would say I'm not someone that
Chases.
like, go after it, like, unless I have to, but I'd much rather hit just a smoother one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not good.
That's the only, I know that was a slightly heavy strike,
Yeah.
but that's where I think Strixon wins out a little bit.
Yeah.
Being that touch more forgiving, but also that V-sole, just that slight extra camber through the sole. If you get that one that gets a bit heavy, the front edge gets out of the way,
Yeah.
so it doesn't stick and then pop up on you. So just for reference, I don't know if you will pick up on there. James, is that close enough? But there's just that little bit of a ridge that runs straight through the middle of the Strixon sole point. And that just gets that, when you catch that one that is a little heavy, it just gets it. Even on the old ones, I mean, they've refined it with every model. It just takes that chunky one out. See one more with it, and then I'm going to switch you into the 223. I'd have to say I have giving you the 223 here, I have a little bit of reserve in my mind that I'm not convinced you're going to like it.
Yep.
Because acoustically it's a little bit closer to the 100S, especially once you get into the long irons as they start to add the tech in to give you that little bit of extra pop to it.
What would you say is the main difference between the 100 and 100S causing that
tungsten bar? So in the long irons, well, with all the 100S you have this tungsten bar that runs across the back, whereas the 100 you don't. And it's as simple as that. It's just that tungsten bar just creates a slightly firmer note.
Yeah.
Once you get that out of it, it just becomes a much softer sound. So this is then 223.
What's the loft? Is it left? Do they have a bit less loft? Or?
That will be slightly stronger than the 100.
It does look a bit close, Cloppy.
Okay.
Tiny bit. Nice feel.
You know what they say. You know their old tagline, the Mizuno tagline, nothing feels like a Mizuno, right? No, you just, once you've done it enough, you know the taglines. That's nice. Yeah, nothing to complain about that flight.
No, that was good.
Do you want me to just weaken that? Let me just check the loft to make sure it's not silly strong and just see if that's visually why it's just causing that that little look. But if this is the same loft, then you're in a bit of trouble. Nice. 30, it is the same.
Yeah.
It is just visually how it
Sits.
sits.
Try it one more.
Is it enough to bother you?
To be honest, if it doesn't start left, go left, then
Okay. No, that's fine.
not really, no.
I think we're going to do well to beat this. It's always good when you can't see it come down the other side.
Feels great. The only thing I might be a little bit concerned about with just how it looks is that I might try and compensate.
Because you're just worried about the fact it looks a little on the shut side. No, that's fair enough.
But that felt really good.
That's the one that you just hang on to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. It's the only fear with, as you say, it's the only fear with that from a looks point of view. It's just that, are you going to not release the right hand through because you get a little bit in your head about how it sits? I know it's now marginal picky, but
To be honest, I would do the same with the Srixon. Like that shot will come at some point.
No, totally.
Regardless of. And even though that was like a bad shot, it's not out of bounds. It's still like
yeah. Worst case, you're going to be pin high, just off. But to be honest, most places you'll probably still be on the pattern service. So this is now Cobra King Tour.
I don't think I've ever hit a King Cobra club.
So this is their. So they do within the players range. They do three. They do the Tour, the CB, and the MB. Mm-hmm. This is their kind of T100, 223, ZX7 competitor. When Justin Rose switched over to them beginning of this year, he put this in 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And then went to the CB 7, 8, and then the Blade 9 wedge. But so and Ricky's had it in the 4 iron for 4 and 5 in and out this year as well. It's a club that a lot of the guys on tour find that are Cobra players. They find it just helps them with a flight in the longer irons because it's just got that bit of a speed pocket in the back. Wow. Yeah, you want to see that carry number. That ball speed and efficiency is by far that ball speed's 2 mile an hour faster than anything else we've had today. I know we're not hunting hunting the speed and the distance, but at the same time, if we can get 7 meters for nothing.
That was, wow.
Visually,
Wasn't bad though.
any opinions on the head shape?
I actually like how it looks. Kind of
Frames it quite nicely.
frames it nicely, yeah. It's like the top's really not too thick at all. It's got a nice...
It just gives you that little bit to give you a bit of confidence, but not so much that you think you're playing a...
I mean, similarly to the Titleist, it's got like a more bladey feel than something that's got a bit more of a cavity. It looks great.
Yep.
That's not good.
What? Beauty of being indoors is if that does come out. You don't have to worry. It's a good swing. Very nice move. Okay, so that would be my only worry with it.
Which is?
That one and the first one, strike and pace of swing, almost identical, 7 meters difference.
Yeah.
Just has me a little worried on if you're out on the course and you hit two that you think have done the same, one's going to be pretty much front edge and one's going to be up next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just has me a little concerned on that, which, to be honest, we have seen a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It's not that it's jumpy, it's just not quite as consistent in distance as the Mizuno and the Shrixon have been. I'm just going to switch you back into that Shrixon.
Yeah.
And just see, now we've hit a few more, where does this sit in comparison to that sort of trio of shots we hit with the 223 that just pretty much all hit the line at the same distance?
The carry distance there was similar to what it was before.
Yeah, it's not like on the... I think that first one was actually more of a jumpy one more than it was anything else. And I think that's the bit that slightly concerns me with that Cobra, is that first one that just goes 179 rather than 171. But without any speed change, it just makes me fear when you're on the golf course.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense.
Especially if pressure's on, adrenaline's going a little bit, you're a little bit faster anyway. That might add 5 meters, and then all of a sudden you've got a club that could go an extra 8. Now you're over the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Just looks very safe.
Yeah, it does. It feels safe as well.
And I think it's probably a combo of where you played the 745s and got on with them. Well, clearly you got on with them because you put them back in the bag. You know, you liked them, you trusted them. There's always going to be something a bit mentally about the fact you see that head shape, you go back to something that feels comfortable, and now we've just got the shaft in there that works a little better. I think what you'd probably find is with the ZX7, you'll just get it back on the course and you'll play better golf quicker.
Yeah.
and then kind of get to that level. Whereas I think the 223 you'll have a bit of a bedding in period because it's that something a little different, look different, feel different. It looks a little shut. My thing is with all of the other heads we've looked at, there's something that hasn't quite been ideal for you. Visually, whether it's the sole plate, whether it's the sound, whether it's how it sits, there's something that's thrown you off with all of them. That has just been I like this. I know what it's going to do. I know how it's going to come out.
100%.
Which, anytime you get, especially at the level we're talking about playing here, we're now finding that we need something that you can walk out there day 1, hole 1, or day 3, day 4, hole 18, and know what it's going to do. And if the pressure's on, I know what it's going to do. I've not got to worry. That to me leans to one setup and one setup only, I have to say.
Yeah.
Let's see two more with
I
it.
agree. I mean, I think for me the most important thing was getting the shaft right first, whatever's a little bit sort of preference of the peel, but as you said, I was so used to it. That's why I almost didn't even bother with the fitting. I was just going to be like, oh, let me just get the new version of this, but I just wanted to
just be 100%. Yeah. I think if you'd have gone into the X1 in that, I think you would have seen a bit more dispersion with it, just because of the base weight would then just get too heavy and you'd struggle to find it. Just going 10 grams lighter, it's just giving you the freedom to just turn at it.
Perfect.
Just the one that hangs out there?
Yeah.
But we say hangs out there, that's versus that previous shot that we were pretty happy with, that's 2 meters to the right of it.
Yeah.
We're getting picky.
I think that's sort of where I'm at the moment, as long as sort of like the bad one is sort of within a certain parameter.
Yeah, I mean, that's still hitting the green, right? And it's a meter short of the good one. That dispersion circle is just getting so tight now.
Yeah.
There's the one that just turns over lovely. Yeah, I'm going to struggle to tell you this isn't the way to go in the irons.
I agree with you.
Lovely, nice and simple.
Simple.
Right. God, that's a shaft I haven't seen in a while. Oh! How often do you get to see one of those?
Might question what I've got that in the bag for. But again, because I wasn't playing as much, I took the 2-iron out. I was struggling off the tee, and it was just sort of something that I felt comfortable with.
Just the safety net.
That's why I was sort of, even though I probably could be fine hitting the 2-iron, what I struggled with off the tee was this, because of the loft. It was distance off the tee. Like if I couldn't hit driver because I wasn't feeling confident, that would still leave me a lot of work to do, because it was a 20
degrees, yeah. Okay, let's have a little look at it, see what's going on, see if we can find you something that maybe fills the gap a little better and actually
and yeah, the difference between that and the 3-wood is I'd say 40 meters, probably.
Yeah, at which point that can become a bit of a gapping nightmare.
It's also stiff shaft as well.
It's more the fact that it's a relatively light within that bracket. I mean, the stiff to the X is just going to change ever so slight change in feel, but we're talking like it's 2% of the frequency accountability for it. It's more just the fact that it will be a couple of grams lighter. It will feel like it's just got a little bit more play in it.
Yeah.
And it probably accounts for the fact that it spins far too much.
Too much.
Almost 4,500.
Yeah.
If I could see that more at 3,500, then you have an alternative for
Off the tee as well.
off the tee, because I can't imagine that you have many situations, if drivers playing nicely,
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's many situations where you feel the need to hit that into a green,
Yeah.
because there's not many holes long. Okay, the odd par 5,
Yeah.
but actually if it meant you had to pitch it slightly in front and run it up, then we're splitting hairs at that point. I'd rather find you something that's 220, 222 in the air
Yeah, for sure.
at 3.5 that just powers through, so that
Especially if it gets windy as well, then I'm screwed.
yeah,
kind of,
you've got
'cause
no option.
Got no option. Yeah.
Let me find something. And I'm gonna, because of the success we had there with the irons, I'm gonna go to the ZX utility as our starting point.
Yeah.
Just purely carrying on the fact that it worked from a flight and a feel point of view.
Perfect.
And then that's into the Acura 105 driving iron shaft. It's kind of there. For what we've ended up with in the irons, it's probably going to be the most logical place to follow on. Give you something that gives you a little bit more feedback rather than going into something steel.
I did play when I can't remember what the model number was, but when I got these, I also got a utility iron, and I always kept it in the bag until like it cracked, like maybe 2 years ago.
Right. Okay.
So
shaft in that, would that have just been the same as what was in the irons?
I actually changed it. It was steel, and then I put a Tour D in it.
Right. Okay.
Like the orange one.
Oh, the DI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can have a look at putting a DI in there and see what you think as well. But let's just see a couple of swings with this first.
Definitely went further, but further left as well.
Okay. So immediately, so that's 3 iron, because we don't have we used for the demo we used 3 iron rather than 2. So of course we can go 2 to give you that little bit more, slightly lower flight, slightly more carry, but straight away that's down at 3.6 on spin. I know that's the one that just turns over a little more, but that's more the window we're looking for. So it's a good starting point.
Yeah. No, it felt good, to be honest with you.
Just over release
Just
that
left,
right hand. That looked a better line. Okay, and then it gets a bit spinny. No, DI is probably going to be a better way to go. Looking at that, just looks like it gets a little bit heavy and then stuck behind you, and
It seemed like it went a bit too high as well, didn't it?
yeah. So go to something Larry and orange. Was there?
Is that? I don't know if they were chatting rubbish, but is that not a high launch, high spin shaft? No.
It's a little bit more tip balanced, which for certain dynamics can cause it to launch a little high. But it's
What's the difference between this and the black one?
so the black,
Because that. Because I had
that is so used it's not got any label on it. That's impressive. That's worn the label off completely. That has got absolutely.
my friend who plays on the European tour now, actually, he
That
gave
has
it to
got
me like 2 months ago.
Nothing on it. Yeah, between the orange and the black. If it's the DI still, there is no difference in the. It's just paint finish. They do a black one because people didn't like the fact that it was bright orange. No, because then they do the IZ, the into the zone shaft, which is black, but it's black with like orange rings.
Yeah.
So that's why I was just wondering if it was that one you meant, or if you meant the black DI. Because if it's the black DI, it's the same shaft.
Same. Okay.
That's then the DI95. Yeah, that is too spinny. It's just got too much kick to it. Okay, IZ is going to be a better fit for you. And then, to be honest, yeah, it's just.
The only thing I'm slightly concerned with is that I obviously know my game well. And I know that as I get higher up in the bag with longer irons, I do struggle.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if 2-iron is the ideal club for me.
Or if you'd prefer to go down the hybrid route still.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sort of just where.
Mentally where you're at this point. All right. Let me see you hit this.
Yep.
And then I'll grab a hybrid to potentially fit in there a little better instead.
Perfect.
Shape-wise, do you like the shape of your Adams hybrid at the moment? In terms of that compact,
Yeah.
slight pear shape.
When I was going to just order the club, I was just going to order the Strixon one.
Okay.
That hybrid at like 17, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's where the strike just goes a little. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go hybrid. Let's go hybrid. I think you'll just have a little more faith.
And I can just see myself being like 220 meters on like a par 5 or something, and then just being like,
I don't want to hit this.
I don't want to hit like.
Okay.
Like I could see myself just hitting punchy ones off the tee if the driver's not working, but
That's kind of
if
where
I
it
had to go
stops.
hit a green, I'm not sure it would be the same.
Okay. Grabbed a couple of options and then I'll grab the Strixon one depending on what you think of both of these from a looks point of view. First off, I'm going to go Apex Pro in the 18 degree, just because shape-wise it's a little more familiar.
My friend just recently got a Paradigm one.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I really didn't like it.
Yeah, that one's a bit too toe flow, and yeah, that for you that will look very open and like it will go nowhere. Whereas that should be a little bit more of a square face, bit more of the look you're used to.
Yeah, small head as well.
Yeah.
Left as well. But
Okay, so as much as that's just turned a little, that's then 220 carry.
yeah. Yeah, I mean it felt good. Spins down as well.
Yeah, spins down in a better place.
That felt a lot better.
Yeah, it's 214.
That was
That's a slightly better fit for.
yeah, it just feels a lot more comfortable. I could see myself
Actually trusting it when it matters.
going for it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's why we always say that honest feedback's the best way to be whenever you're having a fit.
What would you say about the launch angle? Do you think that's okay?
That's dictated by your dynamics. You know, where you hit down on it and you hold it off.
Yeah.
You're always going to be quite low on the launch. But it's not a problem.
But no, ideally, I don't want it to come off too high.
That's the thing is then it becomes a club that's a moonball machine rather than one that you can actually flight down. And it kind of becomes pointless for the purpose of back up off the tee if something else has failed.
Yeah. A bit right, but I just try to hit that a bit too hard.
That's all right. Right, I want to give you this. This is something a little different. So that's TSR3 with the new Tensei 1K hybrid shaft in there. This is a shaft, to be honest, we haven't seen a huge amount with, where it's so new in.
Yep.
I'm kind of using you as a little bit of a test dummy just to see. Logically, it should work, but
Yeah.
just
I have
intrigued.
tried it in driver.
Yeah. Yeah, in
was
theory,
quite
it
good,
should
yeah.
be a pretty good shaft for what you need.
Yeah.
But I'm just intrigued to see how you react to it.
Oh, it's not good.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. That was a nice smooth one as well. That
Yeah,
didn't
that
look
was
like you had to chase it. And that's what the limited testing I've done with it myself. That's what I found is it's a little easier to smooth one out there. You don't have to feel like you have to really crunch it to make it sing. Which
Distance-wise, it was kind of similar to the Callaway one, wasn't it?
yeah, it's kind of done the same job, but a much smoother tempo. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty nice.
Spin a bit high.
That was purely, I think that was probably half a groove low if I had to guess. That was probably just slightly low on strike. Just a touch heely. There you go, 4 millimeters in the heel, 2 millimeters low. So it was just slightly off.
Yeah.
And that probably just put the extra 500 spin on. But it's not a dangerous amount. It's not like if that then went to 5,200 on that strike, I'd be getting rid of it. 4,000's okay.
Yeah.
I just may tweak the,
So I hit one more.
loft on it, but give me one more with that.
Yeah.
Crunched. Yeah, let me just knock that loft down because that has just got a touch too much spin on it. Right, shaft looks really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, it feels good.
It may be that actually the apex head on this just gives us that lovely combo of a little less spin and then the feel of not having to rip it.
Yeah. I do think I slightly prefer that face, but it's not a not a deal breaker.
That's the thing is that's a little more what you're used to.
Yeah.
And again, a bit like with the irons, it's that when it matters, what do I think you'd trust a little more? I think I'd be going more towards the Callaway, but let me just see in this, just tweak down a little bit. So that's then at C1, so a little flat, 1 degree flatter, 1 degree less loft on the Titleist sleeve.
Yeah. Did feel a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, that little flatter is definitely a better way to go, which, because it's the Pro model, they are a little flatter, the Apex. The Apex Pro model, rather than the standard Apex hybrid model, which is that slightly larger footprint, probably more similar to that.
Yeah.
The Pro model being a little more compact is 1.5 degrees flatter as well.
That was good. Tiny bit too far left, but it's still good.
Yeah, and then that's 222. Okay, I'm going to put the Callaway head on that shaft, because that shaft is really doing the business. And just see if we still get same performance out of that.
Yeah.
Or actually, you're just going to have to get used to the look.
What was the reason you didn't bring the Strixon head straight away?
Their hybrid head is a little high spin.
Yep.
And for you, if that's the one thing we want to try and control,
Perfect.
I'd be leaning away from it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little larger footprint and a little high spin for what I think you want to see, what you want to see from a hybrid.
So is this flat now as well?
So this will be a little flatter by design anyway. Yeah, and then that is ideal. It's 227 in the air, 3.3 on spin, sub 30 meter peak height. That is ideal.
That felt amazing. No, it did.
But then that's us just going through and getting that best of both worlds. You know, we in the DI we saw that head was doing the job. The DI was just giving it a little bit too much pop. That shaft in the Titleist then just knuckled that down. So
could I just try this 1 degree flat as well?
So that you can't tweak.
You can't. Okay.
No. So that is the because that's a non-adjustable hosel. That is the setup with it.
I mean, if I hit him like that, it doesn't need adjustment.
If you do it again, I think it's end of conversation, isn't it?
Bit left maybe, but still.
No,
no.
That's 230 down the pipe. Yeah, all right, that's hybrid.
Yeah.
That's quite a good shaft, James. That's what we've learned today.
That was great. And peak height was?
27.8 meters, so that is that bit flatter, which ultimately you're now six meters lower than where you started on your stock swing.
It's just so different to the 2-iron, like so much better, but personally.
Yeah, and I mean we look at the 2-iron when you hit it, and it was a little bit here and there. That's just different league.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right, let me get rid of these other bits.
So you wouldn't even bother trying the Strixon one?
I really wouldn't. I think you're just going to overspin it, and you won't like the look because it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
The Strixon head from a profile standpoint is bigger than the TSR 3. You just won't like the shape of it. You get rid of these, and then we'll have a little look at the wedges.
Yep, perfect. This should be fairly straightforward.
Oh, he said the dangerous words there. Fairly straightforward.
Yeah, so I'll just measure it up and then we'll have a look and then. This is where you look at it so wrong. Yeah, I've had that in the past with this, like, so it works so well.
Right, so wedges.
So again, when I was going to order the clubs, this was the ultimate factor what made me decide to get the fitting, because I was so confused about what shaft to get.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see if I could match it with the irons, but then they were much heavier than these, so I was like, oh, I don't know. So yeah, that was
bit of a battle when it comes down to that. Okay, so you've got 50, 54, and then 58, 884. Okay. What does each one do? I'm assuming that's more just a full shot.
The 50, yeah.
That's just full shot and maybe the odd three-quarter here and there.
Exactly. And if I to be honest, if I have to, if it's a long bump and run shot, I will.
You will go for it?
I will go for that.
Okay.
Do a lot of my chipping with 54. This is honestly the strong suit of my game.
Okay.
Is my short game. So the low bounce is non-negotiable. Like has to be low.
Has to be 4 on that.
Yeah. So I do
and you
play
like the
sort of
lower
firmer
bounce on
conditions.
these two?
This I like just in case I need a little bit more variability, and bunker shots as well, longer bunker shots that I don't have to force a 58. I can feel like I'm.
Yeah.
So it's.
But this is the sand club. This is the
I use
workhorse.
Yeah.
I was going to say, looking at the wear pattern, this is the workhorse.
It hasn't, and I've actually started more recently. I'd say within the past year or so, chipping more with a 54.
Okay.
So that's kind of just for short bunker shots. If I have to nip one.
If it's got to be an awkward one, that's
An
where 58
awkward
comes
one.
out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's straightforward, I just 54.
Okay.
Just more. It's easier.
What I'll see you hit a couple with each of these, and then immediately in my mind, because it's your strong suit, because it's what you know,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to wander too far away from headwise, loft and bounce. I'm really not going to wander from here because you know that.
But again,
Immediately in my head, it's modus 125, wedge is where I'm going. Just as that immediate thought of, that's being 121, let's go just that touch heavier. Obviously, we'll test some others in case it doesn't quite do what we need, but immediately that's where I'm drawn towards, rather than the KBS
I did
Tours
before these, when I did have these, I had Cleveland wedges,
Okay.
and it was the same there. With Cleveland was great as well. I just got used to these as well. So
Would you have a preference of staying Titleist, or actually if it works, it works?
No preference.
Okay.
If it looks good, see, the main thing for me is as long as the leading edge, especially the main thing is with the 58, as long as it's sitting underneath the golf ball, then
As long as it sits low on that leading edge, you're pretty happy.
There are so many times when I try to find the right wedge. Because I was trying to stay loyal to Cleveland, but then when they brought out the RTX 3 wedge,
They had that real high leading edge.
It was right in the middle of the golf ball, and I couldn't deal with it. So I was like, I need to find something else.
And that's when these guys came along.
Pretty much.
Right, let me give
But
you
now
50.
I've seen they have a really low bounce wedge in the 58. Like 4 or.
So now the Cleveland are starting to. They've got a 6 and a.
And what also concerned me was that I can't get the L grind. I can't get the L grind in 58. It's only in 60, which was.
You might be able to on Wedge.
WedgeWorks.
WedgeWorks, yeah. I'm trying to think. I'd imagine they'll be able to do that on WedgeWorks because that's the same with 54. 54M doesn't. They only do limited runs of it every so often. It's not one of their stock offerings, because again, it's for whatever reason they. SM7 they did all the options.
Yeah.
And then 8 and 9 they just started peeling them away. So it may be that actually that forces a change just because you need the sole shapes.
Yeah.
Right, let me move TrackMan forward so it detects things properly.
The one thing I was kind of considering a little bit was going 48, 56 and 60.
Okay.
But that was also something that concerned me a little bit just because I've never actually played a 60. It's probably not worth it.
I wouldn't want to break what you know, especially if it's your strong suit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go and kind of rip it apart and go, no, we're going to change this and change your lofts and change how far everything goes, because I think it would really, really throw you off.
Yeah.
And you'd get a lot worse before you got better.
Yeah.
What would you normally expect distance-wise from your 50?
This is somewhere where I play them all, even even stock shots, like if I had like 105,
Yeah.
I would play it. It's not very far.
But that's your. Is the lighting all right? Do you want me to pop the lights on? Okay.
Even though I could hit it 110, if I'm nearing 110, I will consider pitching wedge. Hence
just
why I
smooth
was
one.
thinking more 48. That's where that sort of thought process came from. How far did that go?
102, that one?
Yeah, that's sort of a comfortable
Yeah.
100. I would go with this for sure. Even though I could probably hit the 5400, but then it just launches a bit too high and.
What I just want to check, because I'm pretty sure it's 46, but I just want to check what loft the ZX7 pitching wedge is, just to be 100%. Because I don't want us to go down a route of suggesting a 48 and then all of a sudden actually you've got 46 to 48, which, yeah, at 46. So it's whether actually 50 makes more sense anyway.
Yeah, it does.
I'd probably want to shuffle all of the lofts back a little bit. Because 46, 41, 36, I don't massively love going bigger gaps at the bottom end. I'd probably be more sort of 42, 38, 34, 30 going up to 6 iron, just to try and blend your gap a little better all the way. You know, so then all your scoring clubs, 6 iron down, all your scoring clubs are then
100%.
the same gap. They're not different every single time. Did the ball
moved it.
That was your tiger moment, and it was caught on camera. Write that down for his. Okay. So that was those last three are 107 and a half, 110, 107.
Yeah.
But rhythm-wise, doesn't look as smooth as you got to with the hybrid and as we were with the irons, because those KBS Tauruses are light.
Lighter, yeah. That was almost like 20 grams lighter than the X100, so that's why
it can just really throw you.
Yeah.
Now they probably will work a little closer. Now you're in a 121 in the irons, but they're still a little light for that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to grab the 125.
Okay.
I'm going to go Titleist first off.
Yep.
So exact mirror of that, but I'll grab the 125 and see what you think of that.
Perfect.
And then we can work around from there.
Excellent.
Needs a smidge more head weight. This will just play a touch on the short side of where we'd want it. So I'm just adding the head weight just to counter it.
Perfect.
So that's then the 125 wedge. So it's
feels heavier straight away.
Yeah. So it's trying to kind of build off of the 120X. This is the wedge shaft they designed to complement that. Okay,
That's not good.
it's all right. Just a touch thin.
Thin, yeah.
But what's quite nice is it was thin, but it didn't go 10 meters past. It actually came up 4 meters short. So spin control, it
Yeah.
doesn't get completely wildly out of control, which certain other
Yeah.
shafts will do at times. They seem to have got it right with how much it still imparts spin on the golf ball. It just allows that bit of kick.
Perfect.
That looks quite simple,
Yeah.
I have to say. It looks like it just matches you quite nicely. There's one other shaft I just want to have a look at in that
Yeah.
same
Peak
bracket.
height, was it a bit too high?
It launched a little lower, but because it spun a bit more, it got to the same
Height.
peak height,
Yeah.
which is where I think this one could just flatten that down a little bit. So that's then KBS high rev 125, which is in theory they do 2 wedge shafts, purely designed wedge shafts. They do the 610 and then they do the high rev, and the high rev is the one that has very much over the last sort of 3 years, which is how long it's existed, it's just become so popular.
Really?
Out on tour, there's a lot of guys that are playing it. If they're playing wedge specific shafts, most of them will have this in the bag. Spin control has been very impressive with it. Even on the non-full shots, on those partial ones, you still see 8,000-9,000 rather than the drop to 5,000, which you'll get with your KBS tours.
Is the length the same?
It's a little longer.
Longer,
this one.
right?
Yes, this one's more in line with where yours
Yeah.
have been.
It feels, to be honest with you, that one felt.
More comfortable.
No, it didn't.
Oh, it felt
like
too
I had
short.
to get down
Gotcha.
too much. Yeah. I just ballooned.
Because what's quite nice about that is that spin hasn't spiked out of control.
Okay.
That's then 9,000, 8,900. Whereas this one, you had that similar pace, similar launch. It got to 9,500, and yours were touching 9,800.
Okay.
Just that little bit lower spin, it keeps the peak height down. And I think if you then looked to flight one, if the weather was in, if you were back into the breeze and you needed to flight one down, I think the ability to have something that doesn't spin as much just as a base swing,
Will help
I think
for
it's
sure.
always going to help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go a bit longer.
Yeah, 112.
Yeah.
Did you give it a bit more of a...
I feel like it jumped a little bit.
Okay. I just want to change the head on that, because that is the it's the one thing I've seen this year with the Vokies is they are jumpy's the wrong word, but they just have the odd one because of this movable CG they've done.
Yeah.
I find particularly in gap wedge, they just have the odd one that goes an extra 3 or 4, and it just can cause a bit of a problem when you're out on the course.
Yeah.
So I just want to switch the head over.
Perfect.
I'm going to go tailor-made. it's strange for the Vokies because it's only the gap wedge that we really see it. Once you get into the 54s and the 58s, there's no problems.
Yeah.
It's just this first wedge just seems to have a little bit of a jump in it for them. So that's then milled grind 3 from TaylorMade.
The 4's come out this year, hasn't it?
They are, yeah, beginning of September, I believe, is the estimated arrival, but I don't think there's been an official date on it yet.
It's just blocked it.
Does the raw face
Put me off, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
get rid of that then?
I've always had sort of a raw finish on the clubs, but just that middle section.
Just the middle rather than the whole thing. Okay. All right. No, that's fine. That is fine. That's not a problem.
I mean, it's definitely something that I could get over, but
At the same time, if you don't
initial-
like it,
yeah.
just gone to grab the Jaws raw. So that is a full raw face. It's a normal chrome finish on the rest of the body, but then the face is a complete raw face.
Is that
hopefully
just
it looks-
standard length as well?
And then that's that's back down to the. From a visual of the face,
Visual of the face is fine.
that's then better because it's the whole face rather than just part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
But it felt a lot lighter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that shaft is 122 when it's cut and installed. So it's like blends right onto the back of your irons,
Okay.
which for gap wedge isn't an issue. There's always that conversation to be had with gap wedges to, do you put the iron shaft in? Do you go to a
Yeah.
specialist? So that's just why I wanted to pop this one together, because it's the weight-wise, because it blends right in. It will be interesting to see swing directional patterns with this. That was a slightly smoother one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like though with how the weight is, I have to do that. I don't have the confidence.
You don't feel like you can just swing at it?
No.
Okay. I may just need to add a little bit of head weight in there then, because that will be a little bit, swing weight wise, that will swing a little lighter than what you're used to. Yeah, okay. Let me just go a touch more. Because okay, you can hit it straight with it,
Yeah.
but it's you have to think about it a little
Yeah.
more rather than just, hang on, I can just, with the certain setups and with yours, it's just that I can just swing this and I know what it's going to do.
Perfect. Thank you. What a fine deal.
It's a nice one.
I'm not sure.
You're not
Not
You're not
convinced.
sold on it, are you? No. Okay. All right. One other one to have a look at then. I just want to go to the glide ping and just see what you think of a look and a feel. we don't have one of the RTX 6s built up in a gap wedge. So we can switch down, once we get down into the sand,
Yeah.
we can test those from a feel point of view, because ultimately we know 50 that's around about 8 bounce is going to be the answer for you.
Yeah.
And actually, if you prefer the feel of the RTXs, then we know that's going to be the right way to go.
Do you feel like it's a bit long?
Okay.
Lengthwise.
Okay.
Is it?
It's interesting, because that's not that much different. That'll only be sort of a quarter-inch difference to yours, but I can grab the... There is a slightly shorter version of it. Sorry, I'll grab the slightly shorter version of it. Just give you a slightly better feel. It's been the most of the. Okay, yeah, I know you've only hit 2 there, but looking at those swings, they've been the 2 kind of most consistent swings of the ones you've put on of anything we've tested, even with your own. Those 2 swing pattern wise in terms of faced path and club path, right identical.
Yeah.
And what's quite nice is you haven't had to rip at them to get 102 out of it. So those first 2 were at 77 and 76 mile an hour, and we still got the 102 number. With yours, you had to be at 81 to get 102, and as soon as you dropped to 77, that's the result you saw.
Yeah.
So I'm liking what that's doing. But what I want to do is go down into the sand wedge before we settle.
Yeah.
Go down into the sand wedge, see what's going on, and I'd be intrigued to see what RTX does when we get down into the sand in terms of spin consistency.
What was the difference between this and the first KBS one I tried, the higher rev one?
So they are both the high rev.
Oh, okay.
They're both the 125 high rev. So then they do a 135, which is their X, but 135 you're then talking up to the dynamic gold wedge shafts that you had previous, which.
How far off from these is it?
So that's
5 grams.
Yeah, so it's about 6 grams by the time they're built and installed. So they're not far away.
Yeah.
But they're just not
Slightly
as optimal
heavier,
as we need. These are just that touch heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Right.
I think I like the idea of having something similar to what I'm used to.
But that's just that little bit heavier
and closer to
what we need from the irons. Yeah, you got it. Right, so that's then your 54.
There we go. That was it.
Yeah, we won't worry about that one. That's all right. Again, great feature of indoors. I click delete. That's gone forever. As long as James does the same. Okay. That's all right. I see why you like it. Okay, ignoring that first one there.
Yeah.
That second one, I see why you like it from a timing point of view and why you kind of trust them.
Yeah.
practicing under pressure. It's maybe where they start to get. Now, there's a combo of reasons for that. I think the fact they're a little light base weight, they're also, because they're a little light base weight, they've gone swing weight heavy. And that's, as a combo, is never what you want.
Yeah.
Whereas if we get you into something a little heavier base weight, we can then control, when we build them in the building, we can then control exactly what we're doing in terms of swing weights. So that it marries up all the way through from 4-iron all the way down. They all feel the same.
The one thing that concerns me a little bit is like the difference in distance. It's like not, I mean it is a little bit, but it's not.
The lack of difference between the two. Yeah, because you were like 103, 104, and then 96. There's not that real separation. Okay. Just give you that. It's RTX. See what you think. And I've picked that for a reason in terms of the loft.
Yeah.
That's their equivalent to the M.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that a smoother move?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a bit more smooth. The strike wasn't great, slightly thin.
Yeah.
Maybe a groove, but
Because ball speed was only down at 77 versus yours that was up more at like 88. So I was just intrigued to see if that was intentional, or if it was just the strike that just caused that.
I'll just go normal. I wouldn't want to really hit it any harder than that.
Okay. So that's then 90. What,
90.
89.2 meters.
Yeah.
So that then, rather than it being 97 where you are with yours at the moment, which is at the gap.
That's 54 as well. Right?
Yeah, the gap between 54 and 50 doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Whereas actually, if you then went down to a 56, just purely because of your dynamics of how you present loft at impact, actually a little more loft on it as a base loft gives you a better gap. As much as people might look in the bag and go, why have you gone 50, 56 and it doesn't quite marry up? It just works a little better for your distance control. You know, we can always look at even going down the route of real fine tuning, going into actually is 55 a slightly better way to go than 56? But when they're done and built and the swing weights are all kind of leveled off, and we can then test and see, right, at 56, what does it do? Right, if we make a little adjustment, does 55 just blend that gap just a little better? Which we're happy to just work out.
If I'm completely honest with you, I don't particularly like hitting full swings with a 54.
Yeah.
Like I'll hit, if I have like 60 or 70 meters and it's a little bit wind into, there's no way I'm hitting 58, and I'll just take that and just like
bunt it down
forward.
a little bit. Yeah, because I would imagine that the jump you have at the moment from 54 to 58, distance-wise, must be a bit of a. There's a lot of feel shots being played rather than full shots.
Yeah.
I'd just like to be able to separate things a little bit to give you a bit more of that full shot.
Yeah.
And that the distances actually make some sense, which. That's nice. What do you think of the look of the head?
I don't mind it at all.
Because some people, because obviously it's got that bit more milling on the face.
Yeah, I kind of.
Personally, I prefer it because I feel like it's going to give me a bit more spin.
Yeah.
Especially as the face wears down, but some people it really bothers them as a.
Yeah.
Can I just borrow that for 2 seconds just to show the. So that's just where on the. on the toe side there, you've got the milling here on the toe that runs all the way across the face behind the groove, so that as the grooves wear down, you don't get that drop of spin as it gets old, which yours are just getting to that point where you're going to start seeing it.
Yeah.
And that'll just give you a bit more longevity in them as you...
I kind of like the 56 as well, because I feel like I can use it a lot more around the greens and sort of play.
Especially if you're looking to not necessarily move away from using 58 or your lob wedge as much, but it just gives you, as you say, it just gives you more option.
The only thing I would ask is if I'm playing in sort of softer conditions, trying to hit full shots, will it still react okay?
In terms of what, through the...
Yeah, because of the bounce is still low.
They do a mid, so they do a 10 bounce, which I can pop on there if you'd prefer, just to give it a...
Just to see it. I do think this is going to be better for me around the green, but I'm just a little bit concerned if in a full shot, how that might be.
Because of a bit like with your M grind that you've got at the moment, because of the higher midsole, even in the wet conditions and the soft conditions, it won't... The difference between that and the mid will make no difference as to how it interacts with the turf, because ultimately, until that point where it curves down, they are the same wedge.
No, I don't need to try.
So that just gives you a bit more flexibility for, especially if you're talking about now something you're going to be chipping and pitching more with. It gives you a bit more flexibility to toy around with it. But that to me is just a really nice, logical place for us to go on loft with a logical bounce and a grind to suit. I would then be thinking, going down into the lob wedge, I'd now be going 60 rather than 58.
Yeah.
I know we said, actually,
No.
you know what, but seeing how far you hit the 54, I don't think 54 makes sense going into your bag, going into this set. So let me grab the 60 low and see what you think about how it sits.
Perfect.
So that's the one thing that, for me, Vokies have always been not an issue with. But I've always found that crest has always been a battle.
Yeah.
You know, that midpoint, as much as it's 4 bounce, it might be 4 bounce, but that does not play like 4 bounce.
Okay.
That will actually play like 6 bounce.
This is the low.
Yes, this is the low. This is the 6 bounce low in the RTX 6 in the 60.
I mean, I would never hit this full swing.
So use this as you would.
Yeah.
Touch on the thin side.
Yeah.
Okay. What are conditions like where you're normally playing your golf? I assume they're not as fluffy and soft as that.
No. It varies a little bit in the area that we're in, but I would lead to more firmer than soft. So
that's why you want that lower bounce option.
Yeah. And then having at least 8 with the 56, if I need to chip around the greens, it's kind of
you've got something with a little more.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Looks a little light in the head, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's where those 2 thinner ones have come from. Tack angle's got a bit steep, it looks a little light. So I'm just going to add a little bit of lead tape. You know, I'm only going a gram, I'm going within, not going within our tolerance, but going within what? if you got it from brand, this would be in tolerance.
Yeah.
But to us, this is we wouldn't let it go in this form if actually it needs to be where this is now. You know, we're talking swing weight tolerance of 0.1, 0.2 versus brands 1.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking 0.2 of a gram in a head versus 2.5 grams in the head.
Makes
just
it
to really try and tighten so that you know what you're getting is what you've hit. Not, oh yeah, it's the same components and that'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little bit of extra head weight, all of a sudden, easier to get underneath it. Attack angle comes down to 5 down rather than 8 down. Just gives you something to get a little more 57 meters.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm seeing this shot play. Maybe I'll try just maybe 70.
Yeah, I am.
72. So yeah, that's right about where you'd expect it.
Yeah, I will.
What I'd be intrigued for you to do, just purely because of the conditions you play on,
Yeah.
as much as we don't do this very often, purely because in this part of the world you don't see much of it, just clip 1 or 2 of those shorter shots, those sort of 50-meter ones off of here, and just see, because this is a bit more reactive to the firm conditions you deal with, I just want to make sure you can still nip it with no problem. Initially, the answer to that is absolutely.
That was good, yeah. Is that 50 maybe?
That was 42 because it was just a little smoother. And then that was 49, so yeah, you're right there.
Yeah.
But what's nice is you can get away with it a little bit. Like, that wasn't perfect,
Yeah.
but because there's not a lot of bounce on it, and even with yours you do that, you'll get it a bit skinny still. Because it hasn't got that high point of a crest, it just skids through lovely, just makes it a little more forgiving. As much as a sole design on a wedge can be forgiving.
Yeah.
No, that is lovely. I think for me, Calvin, I think that's where we are.
You
I think that's where we're set. I think we're going to go RTX6. I think we go 50, the 50 full, so they're just equivalent to the SM7, so the equivalent to yours, and then into those two we go the low plus 8 bounce in the 56, and then the 6 bounce in the 60. And I would be 60.
You would be 60.
Not 58. I think it just gives you a bit more workability. It gaps nicer so that you've got a full shot at 72. You've then got a full shot at 88, and then we'll have a full shot somewhere around 108.
Yeah.
Just gaps us out a little better rather than 108, 98, 70, which that just sounds a bit scary.
And 50 to 52.
I would just worry 52 about gap from pitching wedge.
Yeah.
I would prefer,
do
because
like
it's
the 50 though.
because it's a full shot club and it's almost always a full shot club. I'd prefer it matches the loft gapping into the irons, which where we're moving all your irons on the loft anyway to get them to that 4 degree. Let's keep the 50 at 4 degree gap.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not go to 52. And again, that may be something when they're built and we get a chance to get you in and just have a check over them.
Yeah.
It may be something that actually we just make a little bit of a tweak to and go, actually no, 51 works better. But let's worry about that when they're, I think 50 just makes more sense.
Yeah. Perfect.
Last bit.
Yeah.
Grip.
Yeah.
You've got all sorts going on over there with grips. You've got, apart from the fact they're all multi-compounds, you've got aligns, you've got +4s, you've got standards.
I think I stay clear from the align. I don't want the align. It was just what was in them
At the time, but actually don't like that reference point.
It doesn't even feel. I can't even feel the align anymore. I'm so used to it. Like.
And the logic behind the +4 on the wedges, the non-taper wedges, was there any logic?
No.
Okay.
No logic. Just what I got used to. It felt.
When you hit, are you always at the top? Even if you're hitting the partial ones, will you always be at the top? You never grip down it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, always at the top.
Because there are times where if someone was, if someone was like that.
Only if I had a very awkward lie or something. I just had to like knock
Right,
it down.
but
like
not
that,
one by
but
design.
No.
Well, we're not going to have awkward lies with how well you're hitting those irons.
Hopefully.
Okay, in which case, because there are times where, and this, to be honest, this is where the +4s became so popular in the wedges, is if you have someone that is that guy that grips down it,
Yeah.
because it doesn't taper, they keep that consistent feel. But for you, where it's not even something you consider, I would just keep it the standard multi-compounds.
Yep.
It's what you know.
Yeah, 100%.
In the woods, it's what you know. It's what you know from the hybrid. Everything we've done today has been with the tapered stuff. These are
Just one layer. Would you say?
tapered.
Sometimes
Have you always been
between
one layer?
Usually two, to be honest, but it's not a huge difference.
It's enough if we, let's get it right. Let's not just
Yeah.
sacrifice for the sake of sacrifice. Let me grab the tall velvet with 1 layer and 2 layers.
Yep.
Because we've got those built up, so then you can just feel the difference. I know it's such marginal.
I think these were in my wedges before I changed to those. 'Cause
Yeah.
Originally, these.
Yes, that was the standard Titleist grip, and
Yeah.
it was for the last 6 years has been the standard Titleist grip, the
And is
360.
this just
That's
one
just
layer?
one.
That feels absolutely fine.
So then you've got, that's 2. Let me take that wedge off you for a second. Because if I look at your left hand, that's no contact in there, which would almost suggest that that's too little. That's too thick because there's no contact on that sort of 4th finger to the palm. There's just that little bit of gap, and that then starts to get, especially when you get into the longer clubs,
Yeah.
starts to mean you lose a little bit of that ability to control what the top end's doing.
Perfect.
Especially where you're right up the top.
Mhm.
I don't want to get too thick that then
None.
and then it starts to move. So let's just keep it one.
Yep.
One multi-compound, and we just need to pick a colour. Black, white probably will be the answer. So like that one, but we can work that out. I can send you over a few different colour
Perfect.
options, and you can make your choice from there. All
Yeah.
right,
All good.
Calvin.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
It's great
that.
to see you.
Yeah, and you. I
And
think we've got something good here. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
looking
think
forward
I think we've solved a lot of your problems. Well, cheers,
Time
guys.
will tell.
Cheers for
Take care.
tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.